free. Oh, free. It was hard enough for me to fight the storm. Were you hoping that I could keep us both warm? Hearing sirens playing from the start. Hearing sirens playing from the start. From the start. From the start. From the start. Hey, hey. Did you hear them sirens playing? Hear them sirens playing from the start. From the start. From the start. Hey, hey. Hear them sirens playing from the start. Hear them sirens playing from the start. From the start. From the start. Oh. Hear them sirens playing from the start. Did you hear the siren? Did you hear the sirens? Did you hear the sirens? Did you hear the sirens? Hey, hey. It was hard enough for me to fight the storm. Were you hoping that I could keep us both warm? Hearing sirens playing from the start. Hearing sirens playing from the start. From the start. From the start. From the start. Hey, hey. Did you hear them sirens playing? Hear them sirens playing from the start. From the start. From the start. Hey, hey. Hear them sirens playing from the start.
Hello everybody and welcome to the third round of the Tasman Racing League Road Series this season from Adelaide. It's our first street track of the season, the first Australian racetrack of the season as well. Another one to come next week on that, but it's the Adelaide Street Circuit here tonight, one of iRacing's newest additions. And one of the, I think one of the older street circuits of the world as well. Obviously a layout change or so down the years, but a little bit of a simpler layout this time around these days. 14 turns and just over 3 kilometres, I should say. It's myself, Ewan O'Leary, in commentary with you here tonight with John Wright alongside, and Boone Blake as well, as we had last week too. John, it's 30 cars out here on just over 3 kilometres, where the walls are absolutely next to the road. So this is going to be very, very busy, very congested here tonight for absolutely everybody.
It is, yeah. We actually did have a whip around. Good evening, everyone, by the way. And yeah, we had a whip around beforehand. We got some extra pencil sharpeners for the stewards today. Matthew Serro received a gift package with plenty of pencils and sharpeners to keep his stewarding duties on the go. But yeah, this is a tight, tricky track. They really do things differently in Australia when we look at Bathurst, Adelaide this week, and of course Phillip Island, home of the Seagulls next week. But yeah, certainly today is going to be an interesting one. As you say, one of the A decent circuit. 1985 this one was built, 2 miles long, for those that are less educated amongst us, like myself, that don't understand kilometres. But yeah, a very, very, very good course. Hasn't seen much in the way of change over the years. Has been slimmed down a bit, but yeah, Ewan, as you say, it's tight, it's twisty, it's going to be a tricky one. And that lap 1, turn 1 chicane, yes, a spicy meatball on the way, I would say.
Yeah, well, we used to, where we do turn right now through turn 7, used to have a bit more of a flowing left before you eventually turned right twice and got down towards the end of the lap. But I much prefer this layout, I've got to be honest. It's absolutely fantastic. It is the only street track we've got this season. Phillip Island is the next of the Australian racetracks coming up for round number 4. Before we go back all over the world, Road Atlanta to bring us to the halfway mark. The Monza Oval, by the way, is a mid-season classic race, so I don't believe it has championship points attached to it, but it does have a round. Then Virginia, Le Mans, Red Bull Ring, Road America, Bathurst to round out the season. Yeah, this is the only circuit of its kind, really, here in round 3. As you can see in qualifying, Matt Webber is currently at the front of it, and you'll notice he's still at the front of the championship standings as well. The drop week has been applied, so his championship lead is only 7 points at the moment over Lewis Padgett and Nicholas Heath. But it's worth remembering that he's won 2 races so far as Webber, and indeed he's going to take pole for race 3 as well. Patrick Robinson, Oscar Dobbins round out the top 5. They've all got more than 90 points. Bradley Austin, Carl Douglas, David Noden, Shannon Corbett have all got more than 80 points. Jeremy Newton rounds out the top 10. And that's how the championship points are standing coming into the day. There they are in their entirety on your screen. Boone, it's good to have you with us as well for this session. And indeed this race coming up in a couple of moments' time. As we've spoken about, so busy here tonight with 30 drivers out here on a very, very small circuit. It's going to be the most congested race of the season, I think.
It absolutely is, Ewan. And the one thing that I think we're going to see early and potentially often, we're going to have live stewarding and live safety cars for the first time in the history of the TRL Road Series tonight. So I would expect to see that first safety car in the history of the series probably come out maybe in that lap 1, turn 1 chicane, definitely at some point in the first few laps, and I would predict we're going to see at least a couple safety cars throughout the race. It's going to be chaotic, and I predict that we'll see pretty much all these drivers come into the pits every time the safety car is out.
Let's see when they, if indeed that does happen, as Matt Webber takes pole here tonight. He actually didn't get his second lap in, from what I heard, but it was his first lap was still enough, by 3 tenths indeed as well. David Noden in second, ahead of Lewis Padgett, and then Jeremy Newton, who is on row 2 with him. Oscar Dobbins rounds out the top 5 with Martin Hallinan alongside. Carl Douglas and Chris Gerald are the last drivers in the second of pole, with Trent Naylor and Shannon Corbett rounding out the top 10. 11th place has gone to Patrick Robinson, who's in front of Darren Justice on row 6. Drew Collins and Matthew Colvin on row 7 in front of Bradley Austin. Joe De La Rosa on row 8. Martin Walker and Darryl O'Sullivan on row 9 in front of Jordan Nelson. And Tim Pattinson rounds out the top 20. Then it's Dale Horn. Those are the first 2, by the way. 2 McLarens in the field. Dale Horn 21st, ahead of Stephen Scully, with Nicholas Heath all the way down in 23rd, despite the fact he's finished second in the race already this season. Manuel Dodra is in 24th. Ben Christian and Zach Vlitstra on row 13, in front of David Carney and Anthony Kappen. Lucas Blake is not got a time on the board. Is on the grid, though, with Greg Goodfellow. They will round off row 15. And round off the grid for this race. Well, the drivers are on their way for a formation lap at the moment, and see whereabouts they are. Then they will have a full pace lap to come here. So a long way round here. As we mentioned, it is going to be so tight here tonight. As far as traffic congestion is really concerned here, John. We're all concerned about the first chicane. I'm not sure it will be for definite the first chicane, to be honest. This circuit is so tight everywhere that really, a safety car could come from any point, I think. But one thing you do know, especially in this first sector, is that the track could very easily get blocked, and hopefully it doesn't through especially these opening laps when everyone's so close together.
Indeed, yeah, with those walls so close, as you say, the whole track is an absolute minefield. It's much like Monza. You get through the first chicane, and unfortunately at that point many drivers will then breathe a sigh of relief, and then they arrive at the second chicane and it all goes the way of the pair, as we say here in the Northern Hemisphere. So yeah, it certainly could be one. It's going to be one to watch all the way through, as you say, very tight and twisty here on the motorway section. Of course, plenty of room for the drivers to get through, but that's sector one. It's going to be interesting, especially on the slightly colder tyres. You can see the drivers absolutely furiously weaving their cars left and right, trying to get some heat into the front tyres, get some heat into the brakes, so they've actually got control of the car going through that first sector. And yeah, PTSD from those walls a few of the drivers will have, I'm absolutely sure, by the end of the race. They're going to need to keep their powder dry for the first lap or two at least. And it's going to be an interesting one, looking to see where the craft out the overtakes. We saw some very good overtakes last week, some not so great ones as well. Tricky course last week, but this week, seeing where these drivers actually put some of these overtakes in, your Oscar Dobbins, your Newtons, your Corbett's from the mid-pack. I think that is going to be a bit of a spectacle as well, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it absolutely should be. Circuit, of course, made up of so many different parts that we'll talk about as we go through the race. But 40 laps on the board for tonight, as Matt Webber will bring them up towards the start-finish line, and he will not wait around. Coming out of the final corner, we're underway in the Tasman Racing League Road Series here from Adelaide tonight, in towards the first chicane and bounding over those curbs. First bit of side-by-side, a little bit further down there. One of the Audis there, Chris Fitzgerald, having to just back out of that, but they all get through rather nicely, and some of them, in fact, getting slow-down penalties, but they can't be too severe. Matt Webber at the front has got on, but so has Lewis Bahagia, so they're both going to have to serve it. Bahagia trying to go down the inside there and make up the position. Meantime, Fitzgerald, I mentioned, had backed out of a move through the opening chicane. Unfortunately, he's gone off through the middle part of the lap, and we do have our first safety car in the history of this series. So it's Fitzgerald and Robinson who look like they've got caught up here, and Fitzgerald has got a fair bit of damage there.
Indeed, yeah, you can't park there, mate. I believe they say quite a few little incidents there leading up to that one. We can see Bradley Austin in the Porsche, he was caught up in one as well, tries to go up the inside of the Honda, and the Honda says no thank you, you need to go back round the outside. He then, oh no, so he's just gone for a slowdown there, my apologies. Okay, so yeah, he's almost missed that one. Let's have a look at Justice's view of this one. He got caught up, he was just ahead of this actually. Oh no, so yeah, it's the Honda same time again.
So it's interesting to see what happened here. I mean, it looks like Robinson's on the inside of Fitzgerald, and now we are
on board with Heath, yeah,
even further behind it.
Right, okay,
this time round.
Yeah, apologies. The guys in the truck cannot find the initial crash between these two. Strangely, that's not come up. We've got a Lucas Blake crash. No, right, let's forget that. Yeah, I'll have another look through and see what we can find you in. But yeah, certainly, first safety car. We've even got cars pitting under safety car. But Matt Webber and Lewis Bahagia have, of course, stayed out.
Yeah, you say cars pitting under safety car. I just can't see anybody other than Chris Fitzgerald who's still there. So I don't know what that was
right, okay.
that I just saw. Yeah. Because I did see someone down pit lane. It's not registered as anyone having come in or anything. So unsure as to what's quite gone on there. We were talking a little bit before, maybe you said it on the broadcast, Boone, I can't remember now, but we were talking a little bit about safety cars and indeed whether you pit under them in this race, because we'd never seen it before. What was your take on it here? If we saw a lap 1 incident, would you be coming in pit lane? Because to me it feels like it would be a bit too early.
I would have to say, at least in my opinion, Ewan, that you would pit here on lap 1, because as long as you can get enough fuel to take you to the finish, the tires are probably going to last here. I think it would be advantageous to pit when you can, take advantage of the safety car when you have it, because you have no guarantee that you're going to get another one, and just try to run to the end from there. That's what we discussed with a couple of the drivers before the race, but I think there's a lot of benefit to maybe waiting around and trying to catch the next safety car as well. It just comes with a little bit of risk.
Yeah, perhaps so. You don't really want to be relying on it too strongly. See, oh dear, this is slightly set. So Fitzgerald had already. Right. That makes a lot more sense now. Okay, so Fitzgerald had. There's a lot of things happening here. Fitzgerald, first of all, had dived down the inside towards turn 4 on somebody and made contact. That's the first part. Second part, he's gotten tipped round by a Porsche, but not by Robinson, who has eventually ended up with him. Meantime, I wonder the pit lane has opened this time round, and we are seeing a lot more pit stops. We'll see how long they are in a moment. 17 seconds for Lewis Baggio. It seems like an age, really. Oscar Dobbins into the pit lane as well. Kyle Douglas, Martin Hallinan. Now, there are a number of pros and cons to this, John, but the big negative as to why I wouldn't have done it is that Lewis Baggio, who was second, is now 18th, and that is going to be a lot of traffic to try and overtake somewhere where it's going to be difficult to make up positions on so many cars at once.
Indeed, yeah, there are definitely benefits to coming into the pits. Nice fresh tyres, but if you're on a circuit, as Ewan has just mentioned, where it's very difficult to get an overtake, you're going to burn through your tyres. Much like we saw at Tasman Racing League yesterday, when Matthew Serrell was trying to get himself the race win. He chewed through tyres, trying to catch up and defend from other drivers. By the time he caught up to Bahadur, who was in the lead at the time, he just had no rubber left on the rim, so there was no place, no way for him to get the overtake done. But yeah, that was, 12 drivers, I believe, came into the pits there, so there's a lot of action making its way back through. And yeah, Lewis Bahadur down in 18th position. So he has dropped down. He's dropped out with the server a couple of times there as well. We'll need to get some 50 pences, get the hamsters running extra hard on the wheel for Lewis's internet. But yeah, down 18 places. And yeah, as you say, Ewan, for me, that is a bold strategy call, we shall say, because yeah, it's a lot of traffic he has now got to make his way through to get to the end of the race, and hope, as you'd mentioned as well, because of this course, he's got to hope there isn't another incident which then blocks the track, because that is, I think, as we say here in Scotland, the balls burst. We're going home. That could be game over for Lewis earlier than he's planning.
Yeah, well, he's been able to actually get on, and the safety car comes in this time round, so Matt Webber gets the field back underway. For some reason, Bahagia's gaining places under safety car at the moment, so I'm not sure whether it's getting a bit confused a bit further down, and Dobbins has got a black flag next to his name as well. Through the first chicane again, and Webber gets a slow-down penalty for the second time in a row, so he's not quite getting that first chicane right, but so far he's not being punished for it. First by Bahagia, and now by David Noden, who's in second position for this restart.
Yeah, it's a solid restart, but as you say, Webber really needs to reel that in that first chicane. You cannot pick up too many slowdowns there. It will result in a very big slowdown of a drive-through penalty. David Noden certainly looking to challenge with his Mercedes. He is closing in on Webber at the moment. Webber's obviously just served that slowdown. Webber is so quick around here, though. I heard in qualifying, he missed the last corner. Lost several seconds. The Mercedes goes up to the inside. It's a late lunge. He had no right to go for that one. On first view, I would say he was a bit far back. He's made contact, and that is Matt Webber now tumbling down the order, Ewan. An interesting attempt to remove. The stewards are going to look at that one, I would say, and Webber paying a huge cost for someone else's misjudgment there.
Yeah, turns underneath Corbett and moves back to third at least, but this is a scenario that is new for us now in this season. Webber is not leading this race and controlling it from the front. Instead, is having to fight his way through here as well at this stage. There we go, a little bit better over the opening chicanes that time round from Webber on lap number 5. Behind Justice shapes to defend from Corbett on the way towards turn 4, and that's too deep from Corbett here. That David Noden now gets alongside, so it's all happening at the moment. But I think this race is going to be a series of mistakes, really, and you know, little errors that have got to be capitalised on and reduced if you're the one making them, because nobody's going to have a clean race all the way through 40 laps here tonight. By the looks of things, it's very difficult to do that anywhere. Certainly difficult to do that here.
Yeah, it really is, and the drivers are challenging for positions early. You can see a lot of yellow down the board at the moment. Everyone is very close, all trying to size up those overtaking opportunities. Nelson being one of them. It's Lewis Behager that he's got ahead of him. Behager has made up effectively, what is that now, 6 places since coming back out of the pits. Oh, as we've got Trent Naylor tumbling down the order because he's in the gravel. Let's have a look and see if we can't grab a replay of that, hopefully. No, we can't actually. For some reason, that one's not come up either.
Quite an impressive place to find yourself, actually.
Indeed, it is, isn't it?
Get to the gravel down there, but there you go. Not impressive in the sense of the word he would want to hear, I suppose.
No.
Webber up to second then, and 2.5 seconds now behind Jeremy Newton, who continues to lead this race. Corbett just in behind Justice, not going to be able to make a move this time round because that is a slowdown penalty through the opening corners of the lap. But is there a lap car involved in here as well? It feels like there might be. I'm not entirely sure at the moment, but no, maybe not. Webber, it doesn't seem to have a too big of a gap, but sorry, it does seem to have quite a gap on the timing tower, but not in real life. But anyway, David Noden getting close to Corbett on the way towards turn 8, but very difficult to make a pass through here, and just shapes to the inside and does not go down the inside. I've got to say, I think that corner has a stake for being one of the best in motorsport. It's a brilliant one. It sets you up down for turn 9. Later on the brakes from Noden there, not able to get through. That's where the difficulty in overtaking comes in. But yeah, turn 8 for me, one of the best corners in motorsport. Very, very committed and exciting corners to go through.
It really is. You absolutely feel like a race driver going through there, no matter whether it's real sim or just spectating on the screen. The driver's keeping it very, very, very lively. Oh, there's Kyle Douglas just coming into the pits with a meatball. Goodness me, the walls, the walls, the walls. Yeah, would it be a racetrack in Australia if you didn't have walls either side of a roadway? Let's face it, it probably wouldn't. If it doesn't have that, then it's covered in seagulls and making it even more interesting for the drivers. Noden certainly making it interesting for Corbett. I do think he's going to get a bit of a slap on the wrists from the stewards though, so we'll see if that does have any impact. And Oscar Dobbins, that I mentioned earlier in the race, and we mentioned coming into the pits, goes side by side as it just exits sector number 1, and he swings the Mercedes around the outside. Driver name does keep dropping off the screen, my apologies, but yeah, Dobbins getting the job done, and he is hard charging back through the field, much like Lewis Behager is as well, Ewan. We kind of had reservations about his ability to make his way back through the field, even on the fresh tyres. These are reservations, it would appear, Behager did not have. He's already backed it up into the top 10, and he is filling Stephen Scully's rear view mirror at the moment, as David Noden and Corbett are also going for it. Yep, just cast the fishing line out there and we will find the battle someplace on track here. But certainly Corbett and Noden is a spicy one at the moment, and it's all just helping really Justice, Webber and Newton break themselves away as Webber picks up another slow down penalty. He's surely getting a drive through soon.
Well, let's see on that. I mean, as long as he keeps serving them, I think he'll be okay, but also the off tracks will be a little bit annoying. Look down the inside from Noden here. There's definitely a lap car. Yeah, so Nicholas Heath is just to in front. I've been going mad trying to find find who it is. Heath has finished second place, I mentioned, in a race before this season, so it should have decent speed. But this is what I mentioned at the very start of the race, really, that there's even though they the leaders out front might be extending the gap over the rest, and they are already in this race. There's going to be traffic pretty much instantly in this race. I mean, we're less than 8 laps into the race. We've got traffic, and Heath is not too willing to get out of the way either, because he's not a slow driver by any means. So this is just going to be a nightmare now for the likes of Noden and Corbett and Austin to actually try and get past.
Yeah, they've got their work out for them. As you say, some of the drivers that have come out the pits, they're not the slowest on the grid. They're some of the quicker ones here, and Heath is certainly capable of holding his own. Oh, and that is a little bit of a touch there from Bradley Austin's Porsche on the back of the Mercedes, and that is an unwarranted spin there as he drops back down. So a bit of a contact there. Matthew Serrell certainly bringing up the... Oh no, sorry, Chris Fitzgerald, sorry. Bringing up the rear of the field. Matthew Serrell is our steward, of course, which I knew. But yeah, a bit of contact. It just highlights how tricky this track is. And the trickiness has been added to with the early safety car. You'd think that would sort the drivers out. All it's done is brought some of the pitted drivers in with the front end of the grid drivers, and all kinds of spiciness. Lewis Bahajar's just picked up a slow down penalty, but he's also picked up the slipstream of Scully and O'Sullivan ahead of him. Good to see O'Sullivan race out. I do know a family of O'Sullivans in Europe that are disturbingly quick. The younger they get, the quicker they get. It's absolutely frightening. But yeah, Darrell O'Sullivan, 1.5 seconds separating these three, and Bahajar, he's certainly not letting that early pit stop slow him down in any way, and he can't afford to, because Matt Webber is back on the hunt for the race lead, and he's got Jeremy Newton all to himself. They've got a 7-second gap back to the rest of the field, and it is Lambo v Lambo, and in this situation I'd be putting the house on Webber, I'm afraid.
You would certainly still fancy him at this stage in the race, with 30 laps to go, even when they get to the line. And Boone, we're already a quarter of the way through this race, going to absolutely fly by tonight, with the laps ticking off as quickly as they are, quickest of any venue I think we're going to go to this season, if I'm not mistaken. So what about those who haven't stopped so far, the likes of Webber and Newton here, who are at the front of the field? When are we expecting them to make a pit stop, and are we going to see Matt Webber actually use that pit strategy to try and get past Newton rather than an on-track overtake?
I think we may have lost Boone, have we?
I can't hear him, so I don't know what's going on there. He's not muted himself, which would be the classic, but yes, can't hear for the moment. So we'll get back to Boone on strategy.
How about now?
Oh, here we go. Go ahead.
Go. Yes, we can hear you now, Boone. Go ahead.
My mic is not working well right now.
Right, yeah.
Okay,
no.
meantime.
Well,
yeah.
Crack
I
on
will
you,
try.
and we'll get Boone to reset, and we'll get you to crack on just now.
Yeah, Matt Webber retakes the lead there. You may have just seen it. Jeremy Newton just getting it all crossed up through the opening chicane on the lap, and well, Webber couldn't turn down an opportunity like that, and indeed doesn't. So retakes the lead of this race. So momentary, well, not panic by any means, but would have been apprehensive about the situation there for a brief moment, but he's got himself back into the lead. 3 cars just up in front of him, by the way. Martin Walker, Trent Naylor and David Carney all fighting, I think, for 24th position. But already after less than 10 laps of a green flag run, he can see cars in front who are battling right now. It is indeed that group of 3, although Carney is very much losing the back of it. So much traffic to deal with here, John. This is after not very much time at all that Webber will have to get past those guys.
Indeed, yeah, as you say, it's not the longest track by any stretch of the imagination we will go into this season, and the drivers do. That was a big contact on the wall with a Porsche in the background there. That looked like O'Sullivan just bouncing himself off the wall. He's already adjusted the contact with Capon as well, actually. So the drivers, even with the warmer tyres 12 laps in, still finding their way into the wall. But yeah, as Ewan was saying, the traffic here is going to be absolutely intense. Oh, the Mustang almost stepping out on him there. Collins almost getting a free position. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they make their way past. Not many overtaking opportunities at the best of times, let alone when you're trying to overtake, and there's some blue flags involved as well. So the drivers are going to have to be absolutely on their toes. We've got a couple of overtakes on the go as well. De La Rosa sending up the inside on Horn.
Oof.
Oh, now Horn has got no front nose. Oh, and he stayed out with the pit lane and made contact on the corner exit, and that one will go to the stewards. Absolutely no doubt whatsoever. Why that McLaren is still out on track is an absolute mystery to me. How's he not got a meatball flag?
Well, you don't always get a meatball for losing the front bumper, and it doesn't seem that the damage actually affecting him too badly, so I do wonder how much the damage would actually be if he was to go down pit lane and or get a meatball. You'd think seconds, really, but he carries on anyway. It could even be one of them where the damage actually isn't taking any real-world effect. As Austin turns underneath Corbett there, who went too deep into the final corner. Very easy to do as you're coming through turn 13 and getting on the brakes for 14. As Heath now finally gets out of the way by braking and getting down the pit exit effectively and staying out of the way of these guys. Colvin, meantime, under pressure from Blues Pahaja, who is now on the outside line towards turn 4, and that's a long way around there, but he'll get the inside at turn 5 if he can stay there, which he has, and down the inside he goes. He is into 6th position, so the recovery continues for Pahaja. The thing I'm waiting to see is the advantages of that pit lane under the caution. At the moment, not seeing it, because if he still has to stop and there's green flag racing from here to the finish, then he's legitimately 20 seconds behind the race leader, which is a long way.
Yeah, that is a long way to
Like
make.
maybe.
Oh yes, Boone, we have a return. Good morning. Yeah, all hail Boone, by the way. It's ridiculous o'clock in the morning where he is. I mean, it's his fault for living in that time zone, I guess, but yeah, he does an outstanding job.
Very harsh, John, that. Very harsh. Go ahead, Boone. What you were going to say? We didn't catch much of what you said about strategy a moment ago, so go ahead if you want to say a few bits.
So apologies if my mic cuts out again, but I think that most of these drivers, as we see a couple start to file into the pits, I think just trying to get this stop out of the way as soon as possible and get back out on track, try to minimize their losses from the pit stop. But I think for the most part what we're going to see is drivers continuing to wait on that second safety car so they don't have to come in, don't have to make a green flag pit stop. It's going to be a matter of probably over half a minute of a yellow flag pit stop versus a green flag pit stop. So I think everyone's kind of waiting for that second safety car right now.
As we were saying, John, I mean, you just never know when that is going to arrive, if that's going to arrive. I mean, I think the likelihood maybe would just tip over more likely than not likely, but I wouldn't say it's a huge chance. It's far from a 100% chance that another safety car is going to come out, because as they all get more spread out, it's very much down to the individual to have an incident around here, and that's much harder to do than what we saw on the opening lap, which was two cars getting into contact with one another.
It absolutely is, and waiting too long on that safety car can 100% derail your race. I actually lost the opener for the Oval Series here in TRL at Daytona a couple weeks ago exactly on that. I was waiting for a safety car to come out for my tire strategy to work, and it just never happened for me. I had to come in. So you don't want to stretch it too long for sure, and it depends on if anyone stopped before, how long these cars can run on a tank of fuel. I'm not sure exactly personally, but I can't imagine anyone's going to stay out much later than about lap 25 if we don't get the safety car.
That'll be just 10 laps away from now. Would suggest that if they'll be able to make it to the end if they pitted even on lap 15. Pahaja down the inside of Austin, who gives a lot of room there. Pahaja not too willing to be aggressive with him though. Coming through this section, this is a really tight section here, and that wall makes it worse as well these days, coming out of turn 7. Coming onto the Brook Straight down towards turn 8. Pahaja's on the inside line though, into turn 8, and so should get the position. Oh my word, they're trying to go for it, and they're going to, oh my goodness, that could have been a huge crash, absolutely massive, and Oscar Dobbins is going to take both places. Normally the rules in real life racing mean that the driver with the nose in front gets precedent through the corner, and the driver without has to back out to make it single file through turn 8. That didn't happen there. Pahaja now though turns underneath Austin, who breaks too deep in towards the left-hander of turn 12, and the battle is settled a little bit later than maybe what you'd expect or hope for. I wasn't expecting to see side-by-side round there tonight through turn 8, I must admit, but they tried it there, and they might not try it again.
Indeed, yeah, once bitten, twice shy potentially. I definitely won't be climbing any buildings with my heart rate. pre-production conversation there. A few of the guys will get that. Noden, he really does like to get lively over those curves. So does O'Sullivan ahead of him. Noden will actually, when we get just past the halfway mark, we'll get Matthew Serlin to give us a quick update on the penalty situation, although Naylor's just gone past Dodra. So much overtaken. Apologies if we're missing any. I'm trying to keep up with as many of them as I can, but there is so much going on. It is an absolute, it is phenomenal, quite frankly. Is that Manuel Dodra behind him? It is indeed. But yeah, that was a brave move there, and big benefit to Oscar Dobbins, who ended up going past both of the battling Porsches. Lewis Bihager finds himself dropping a position for the first time since that pits, and his prayer for a safety car was almost answered, but not quite. Be careful what you wish for, you just might get it. If you're hoping for a safety car, you don't then want to be the one involved in causing the safety car, and that was certainly almost what happened to those two. Dobbins with the double overtake, and Bihager with a bit more work to do, as O'Sullivan and Noden still going at it. Noden, undeterred by earlier attempts, has he run himself a bit deep on exit? The Mustang saw it coming, gets himself out of the way, and that is Noden with a nice overtake, a very compliant Darrell O'Sullivan in that one. Noden certainly won't mind. He's got his Mercedes now back up to 8th position while still under pressure, and we've got another 3 cars in the pits just 17 laps in. Ewan, and Drew Collins looks like he's going for it on Viestra at the minute.
Yeah, here he goes on the way towards turn 4. He's not that far behind, but just backs away actually before they get on the brakes. Very bumpy braking zone coming down towards turn 4 there. The right-hander, obviously 90-degree turns through here. They are going through streets, but as you can see by the greenery around, this is not that far from central Adelaide, but it is in sort of a, or most of the circuit anyway, it's in sort of a park. Some of it is actually purpose-built. The actual pit facility and whatever doesn't have to be dismantled and then rebuilt again before there's every race weekend. That is a big move. Oh, and contact there with a Porsche with Trent Naylor, who's got damage now by the looks of things, and there goes his front bumper, and Dale Horn gets out of the way completely. I believe they both was going to have to come to pit lane though, because they might have hit the instant limit already. They've both got black flags next to their name anyway, and they've both got no front bumper either.
Yeah, that was a close one. We had one car right off track, more parts strewn across the track. Matthew Colvin coming into the pits from inside the top 10. Matt Webber is now 13 seconds ahead. It's hard to keep a straight face when talking about this man's driving. 13 seconds ahead with a couple of other cars coming at the pits. He's leaving leaving battles galore in his wake at the moment. It's Corbett, Dobbins and Bihager once again, but it is it's Dobbins and Bihager again. This time they're dragging Corbett into their battle. Oh, and I tell you what, Lewis Bihager, Ewan, he really is looking for the moves here today. That was a quick look up the inside there. It would have been a bold one, but he could be about to reverse the 2-position loss that he suffered there by taking these 2 positions, because Dobbins and Corbett very close indeed. And Corbett does look like he's struggling a bit, because that Mercedes is buzzing all over him, and Bihager's surely going to slide through and take at least 1 position pretty quickly here.
Well, Dobbins is making sure that, it's going to be him, and Bihager might well take both of them in that case. He's going to get blocked by Dobbins this time round, but he's going to get past Corbett, is Bihager. Yeah, that is right, sorry. In towards turn 1. Now, he's got the chance towards turn 4, but that's a good run through the first chicane from Dobbins there. And he's going to keep Lewis Bihager behind once again. So, this is, again, difficult overtakes to make. And as he gets further up the field here, and we approach half distance, the overtakes get more difficult as the standard of driver he's overtaking gets a little bit higher as well. So, I've been unconvinced about this strategy to pit on the opening lap safety car, but he's continuing to press on nevertheless. That was a Mercedes, meantime, spun sort of in the middle of the road, really, as we were joining them there. I suspect that might have been, I don't even know if I can guess. David Carney, maybe. It might have been. Jeremy Newton, meantime, has gone into the wall as well. He was second place, and don't forget, leading this race earlier on. That's a bit of contact with the wall, and it looks like Carney might have been spun there for a while.
David Carney is, so he took another contact Here we go, here's the initial contact. Apologies, the replay's not playing nice today, but we'll get there eventually. Oh my goodness me. Such a tame crash there, just through a slow speed corner, just puts the foot down that little bit too early and finds himself as a stationary roadblock. As if the track wasn't narrow enough, we've now got cars sideways. We'll get back to the live action. There we go, yeah. That's what caused him to, or yeah, I'm not sure what caused him to spin, but that is certainly the contact that was left at the end. More drivers have come into the pits as Jeremy Newton and Trent Naylor come in. David Carney still in there as Lewis Behager still going for the move on Dobbins. He's positioned himself perfectly on the inside line. The Mercedes, oh, and they almost make contact. It's a straight drag race now, which the Mercedes you would think is going to win. The Porsche falls into the slipstream. Behager looking to get himself back onto the podium here, Ewan, and this is a phenomenal battle between him and Dobbins. We saw this earlier, it didn't end well. Hopefully we'll get a better resolution to it this time around. Well,
yeah, let's hope so. I think Dobbins is going to be a very, very difficult customer to actually overtake at the moment, though, as Behager goes wide through turn 12 there, and he's going to have to catch up all over again here as they now complete the first half of this race. Matt Webber has already done that, and you've got to say it's been a race for him where he's had to make overtakes. He's been put behind it a little bit here, and he's had to work his way through the field, but he's been able to stand up to the challenge, and he's now 22 seconds in the lead. I think the race results are going to show that and make us forget almost that he was ever not in the lead in this race, because it's a remarkable lead considering he wasn't even in the lead about 15 laps ago. There's diving down the inside Pattinson. These battles continue further down, but that was quite a nice dive, and diving to the other side of the Mustang. Oh, he's switching sides left and right, flips through without a very good run out the final corner there, and Pattinson has to settle for one position gain in the end.
Yeah, very close between these three, and it will soon become four as Jeremy Newton, I believe that. Oh no, sorry, that is a blue flag behind them, back marker. So yeah, they've got a car close in. Let's get the battle box up and see what is going on. But yeah, Pattinson with a big send in his McLaren to get himself ahead of Lerestra and Collins. Blake, oh, that's Lucas Blake, sorry, it is Lucas Blake. That's not a blue flag. My apologies, Lucas. Lucas has been on an absolute charge, actually. One thing I've not checked so far, apologies viewers, is the gains that the drivers have made. And we can see Lucas Blake at the moment, a lot of cars have pitted. 18 places he's made up. Leestra up 16, Ben Christian up 17, and Darren Justice up 10. A few of those will shuffle around, of course, when we get more pit stops taken. That does look like the Porsches were going at it as well. Yep, that is Austin trying to get past the Lambo. Oh, Lewis Behager with a yellow flag. That's another slow down penalty. That has been the only real consistency that we've seen, although no, we're going to jump back on the battle with Collins because he's right in the hunt here, and he is really putting pressure on as O'Sullivan comes into the pits to drop out with this battle. The drivers will ascend up the rankings. Wow, it has been a seriously all action start, an opening 22 laps. And in fact, I'll tell you what we'll do, Ewan. We'll get a quick word from Matthew Serrell, I think, our steward extraordinaire. He might be a bit busy. Matthew, how was the opening half of the race been for yourself? I think we've already got a pretty good idea of that.
Yeah, a lot more for me to do so far than last week. Obviously, we had that lap 1 crash where the road was kind of blocked, so we had to throw the safety car for that. Chris Fitzgerald received a black flag for that initial dive down the inside. I'm not sure if you saw it on the broadcast, but that was sort of the catalyst for that incident. And the other one was a black flag for Dale Horn diving down into, I believe it was turn 4, dove down the inside and took out Martin Walker, so he received a black flag for that. But other than that, pretty smooth sailing.
Nice, yeah.
We did see.
Sorry, you go,
yeah, we did see that on the opening lap. It was very much the start of the story. This is quite a traffic jam, isn't it? What is going on here? That Mercedes there is trying its best, I think, to stay out of the way. I think it's Carney again, and it's actually creating more problems than it's solving at the moment. Ben Christian into the pit lane, another one stopping as well as Filestra in the Mustang. But it's the problem, a constant problem really of lap traffic around this circuit. You don't know whether to get out of the way or what to do, because it's just so congested. Another driver coming out the pit lane now, right in front of these guys as well. Oh, and there's trouble through the first chicane and into the wall for Patrick Robinson for the second time tonight. Patrick Robinson's in the wall for the second time, and it's with one of the Mustangs he's come into contact with, or is it indeed with Robinson? I think, yeah, it is. He's still damaged, and he's trying. Oh dear me! I mean, these drivers don't know whether to get out of the way or what to do at the moment. In towards turn 1, and there was a Mustang coming out the pit lane. It's the constant problem with this circuit where the driver's just on the racing line, and in the end, contact through the chicane, and a couple of cars end up in the wall. This is Robinson picking himself up afterwards almost.
I think he's just about to come around the corner. Yeah, this is the just the end of that. For some reason, some of the incidents not popping up. Some of the incidents that aren't actually incidents, but yeah, a big one there, as you say. We mentioned it at the start. You had mentioned it at the start how difficult this track is to overtake, and we did touch on briefly how difficult it is when there's traffic involved as well. When you've got blue flags, you've got cars pulling into the pit, going round the outside of the blue flags, and cars exiting the pits as well. That's a whole lot of cold tyres, damaged cars, and metal that will meet the walls, as it did there. More cars filing into the pit. One of them, our race leader, it is Matt Webber, who's had a bit of adversity in this fight so far. He has come out on top at the moment. Oscar Dobbins is going to arrive soon to the pit lane. We'll see what himself and Buhaja did. Of course, Buhaja pitting under yellow flag at the start of the race, so he is coming round the last corner now. Can he make it to the end is the big question without pitting again, because Matt Webber is stationary. There is Matt Webber moving. Dobbins, Dobbins has been in the pits as well, but he came in early. Of course, Dobbins and Buhaja came in early. Webber is now on the late charge, so he should be in pole position here, unless Buhaja and Dobbins can make it to the end here. I'm not sure that would be possible after a lap 1 pit stop though.
Yeah, we'll check in with Boone to chat about strategy as it's all panned out here. Every single driver has made a pit stop now. As you predicted, lap 25 is very much the limit in terms of fuel here, but a surprisingly little amount of drivers actually going all the way down to lap 25 in the end there. Can Dobbins and Buhaja even dream of making it to the end of the race here without stopping under green flag, or are they either hoping for a safety car, or in the end are they going to have to take a splash of fuel under green flag conditions if that's what it comes to later on?
Oh, well, Ewan, as much as I would like to say yes, as much as I would like to believe that Dobbins and Buhaja are going to pull this out on strategy, I think the fact that we haven't seen a single driver go past lap 25 on fuel, waiting out that safety car, not even one driver deep in the field, I think that shows that 25 laps really is about the limit on fuel on these cars. So unfortunately, we are probably going to see those guys at the front who pitted on lap 1 come in with a few laps to go there, as we see. I'm not sure who that was there.
Dodder spinning through. Oh no, this is going to be an uncomfortable watch, isn't it?
Oh.
There's just no space to do this. You got to turn around in the gravel trap if I was in, but anyway, he's going to try and reverse. Well, yeah, let's not watch that. Might be best. Dobbins, meantime, is extending a lead actually over Buhaja. I think you are right, by the way. This is going to be a much more difficult challenge for them to actually get to the end of the race on the field that they obviously got a little bit off in the pit stop under the safety car. Tim Pattinson, meantime, for 5th position in front of Drew Collins. Jeremy Newton also trying to recover some positions here as well. It's been the thing about this race. There's been constantly stuff happening all throughout the field. That's not too much of a surprise, I suppose, with this circuit. Because it is just so busy around here, and there's still plenty of cars out there as well.
Yeah, they're all still bunching up, and the pit strategies are all starting to come together. Well, of course, the cars that came in earlier are going to be coming in again pretty soon, as Matt Webber is looking to improve his current podium position. It is Webber v Buhaja, but it's Buhaja that is in front of both of them. Absolute violence through that first chicane. Not a jot of care given, as they're going to potentially go side by side. not quite through that corner, and Buhagiar here, he's got a fight on his hands now here, Ewan, because he is on very old tyres compared to Buhagiar's compared to Webber, nice new tyres. You can see Webber absolutely flexing how much grip he's got on the car. He is all over the back of that Porsche, and it is surely a case of when rather than if Webber takes his position back from Buhagiar here.
I'm not sure what's happened, but Buhagiar has lost 5-6 seconds in very short order here to Dobbins, but is very keen to defend from Webber. So this is going to be an interesting battle, and it might frustrate the championship leader as well. Buhagiar chops across the nose of him down in towards turn 9, through 10 and into 11. Webber's looking on the outside here. Buhagiar protecting the inside line again there. You imagine he'll do the same now, coming into turn 13. And here he goes, and there we go, into 14, protects the inside line. That's too late though, it didn't take too long. Buhagiar was on ultra defence there, and if you do start out like that, it's very difficult to hold on for that amount of time. With 13 laps to go, Webber gets through there pretty comfortably in the end.
He does, yeah, the older tyres definitely making it more difficult for Buhagiar and the race leader, who's been absolutely solid so far this race, proving exactly why he is the championship leader. We've got more battles going on though. Newton v Justice in the top 5. That is gold v silver. We've also got this one on screen, Collins chasing down Patterson, as well as Noden, who's been involved in a lot of action so far in the race. This Mercedes is featured, and and it's also featuring some Valvoline sponsorship apparently, because he does like to run the car off there. A lot of sidings on display, and that is Noden, who was lining up the overtake, now finding himself dropping a position and being caught up by a back marker as Jeremy Newton and Darren Justice enter the 4. In fact, Collins and Patterson, they're still going at it. Not sure which one of these battles to watch, in fact. They're right on top of one another. It could be all 4 of them right with one another very soon, as Buhagiar comes in for a second pit stop as these 4 duel out for positions, and we'll see where he comes back out, I guess.
Yeah, we will. On the way down towards the hairpin, Buhagiar comes into pit lane, by the way. Big dive from Newton. Oh dear, that was quite tight there. Justice didn't give all the room in the world, but just enough on the inside. That's probably the way to do it. Just close off your options there on the inside line, and Newton didn't really have anywhere to go. Coming in towards the final couple of corners now, he's going to be looking for a dive down the inside here. It's a difficult thing to do, because when you're on a tight line there, you tend to miss the apex, as Justice just did, and Newton's going to be able to turn underneath him. Justice comes across to show his intent of defending again here, but he's going to have to take a tight line in towards turn 1. Newton will back out through here. Oh, he didn't quite back out early enough. He wanted a good run out of there, coming in towards turn 4, but he's not quite going to manage it here. Collins just in behind Patterson, not able to get past either. Buhagiar comes into the pit lane and is in now 3rd position, but Boone, it was noticeable how once Dobbins got past Buhagiar there, he really slowed down. I can't really think of why that would have been the case. I thought he might have gone on to ultra fuel save to try and make it to the end of the race, but even that was sort of fantasy really. He was never going to make it, as you said earlier on, so don't know what was going on there, but I think Buhagiar and Dobbins are going to fight for second place, even though they made that pit stop and that different strategy to Webber. I think the results and indeed the positions of those top 3 are probably the same as what they would have been even without that safety car.
I think they are, Ewan, and I think as far as Buhagiar slowing down so much after Dobbins got past him goes, I think the best explanation for it may just be that he was in pure defense mode against Matt Webber, as we see Daryl O'Sullivan now losing it on his own into the walls, as we've seen many times coming around these corners on the street circuit. They just don't have the same grip as a comparable corner on a dedicated racetrack. A lot of the time they're very low grip corners, very easy to lose the back of the car on, especially in a car like the Mustang that oversteers so easily. I really do not envy these drivers having to get these cars around for 40 laps to this track.
Right down in towards turn 4. This is going to be quite congested now. There's what, 4 in a line here for 4th position, sorry, with Newton at the head of this group. On board with Collins, who I think just avoided the wall there. Got very close though. Our camera, of course, is slightly off the car there. So he's got away with that probably, but just in front Pattinson, then Justice, who is in 5th position, and Newton, who seems to have put a lap car between himself and the others here. Through turn 8, down in towards 9. And there's a look down the inside from Pattinson. Is that no? He's not going to go from all the way back there, but that's nicely done from Collins. He just waited back there to try and take advantage, but he can't quite take advantage and can't quite overtake. I must admit, overtaking has been absolutely more possible than I thought it would be here tonight at this circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot more overtaking potential that we've seen. Certainly, I was in the same boat as yourself, Ewan. I didn't think we'd see much in the way, certainly of successful overtakes. Certainly, we could see attempts, but finding the positions around here, the drivers have been absolutely on it in practice. Clearly, they've been racing offline. I hold my breath through that chicane every single time. And yeah, he's picked up a yellow flag there, so that is a slowdown penalty for Collins that we were on board with that chicane. The drivers do really mercilessly throw the cars, but the overtake. Oh, and there is Manuel Dodra facing the wrong way, completely stationary. So another car just losing the back end. So easy to spin around here. When they do start spinning, they keep spinning. You either make contact with the wall or you're facing completely the wrong way. Neither is a desirable outcome when you're trying to get to the end of a race, and certainly a few of the drivers finding out the hard way. Robinson is out, Naylor is out, Capin, Hallinan and Heath all out of the race for quite some time now as well, so the course still picking up wounded warriors. We've only got 8 laps left to go, and Matt Webber's got 4 seconds separating himself from the lead, whereas we're on board with Collins, who's got 4 tenths between him and Tim Pattison ahead. Darren Justice will be eternally grateful that if these two continue to scrap, so that he can hold on to what is effectively the classes do seem to be a bit messed up, but he is 5th place overall for Justice, as Collins is still pressing away. But we'll have to mention again, I do feel that we should give him another mention, is Matt Webber. He hardly gets any camera time in these leagues because he is just usually so quick out at the front. He hasn't had it all his own way so far, but he's looking to right those early wrongs, so to speak, and he's already within 2 seconds. He's finding almost a second a lap on Dobbins ahead of him. It is just unbelievable raw pace and consistency that Webber's got. It is frightening amount of talents that he's got up there at the front, Ewan.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the final 5th of this race now, only 8 laps remaining, and Webber is closing in on what looks to be another race victory here, but nothing is certain just yet. By the way, to your point about attrition and those out the race, only 12 still on the lead lap of this race. I know it's a short circuit, but that just shows you just how many have been delayed over the course of the day. I think we saw last week actually a big gap sort of in between top 5 positions, and Bahadji's got nearly half a minute in front of him to Matt Webber, who is in 2nd at the moment. So there's some very big gaps indeed. Pattinson not quite able to stay with the Justice and Collins battle just over in front on the way down in towards turn 4. Collins not able to get through, get into that top 5, and it's proving to be a little bit difficult. How difficult is it going to be for Webber though, and just how far can Dobbins go? I thought Bahadji had pretty much taken it to the limit earlier, but Dobbins is still going multiple laps later.
Dobbins has managed to stay out fairly impressively. We'll just get up on screen when it was he took his pit stop. There you go, as smooth as you like. So yeah, Dobbins at lap number 2. So the 25 lap fuel does seem to have been well, not very accurate, because he's done what, 32 laps now. He's done, well, at least 30 at full speed, a couple under the safety car, but yeah, he pitted on lap number 2 and is still out in the race. I think he might be doing a bit of fuel saving now though, because the pace difference between himself and Webber is, well, it's very, very noticeable. That gap is absolutely tumbling. It's almost like a GT3 versus a GT4 at this point. So I do think that Dobbins is maybe playing the long game here and doing a bit of fuel saving to try and get him to the end on the one stop, in the hope that will keep him ahead of Buhagiar. He's certainly doing a good job defending against Webber at the moment, but again, this is going to be another when rather than if, given the state of the two cars. You can see the 22 lap difference between the tyres, and he almost climbs into the boot there, Ewan. And yeah, it's not going to be long. Matt Webber will be back in the lead of the race before the end of lap 36, I would say.
Yeah, let's see how this battle goes on between the two of them. Dobbins flashing the lights, but I'm not sure whether that's at the lap car in front or if he's trying to indicate something to Webber behind, but he wants to keep Webber behind him. Defending in towards turn 4 there was Dobbins, and Webber is not going to be waiting around at all, not going to waste a moment in trying to overtake him through this first sector, this tighter section, before they get onto the highway again. He's not able to make an overtake. But now in towards turn 8 they come. Big weaving down the straight here from Dobbins to try and break the slipstream. Webber is looking down the inside. He's not going to actually go down the inside from there, but he might well do at the hairpin here. Dobbins knows that as well. He goes on the defensive, but it's so tight on the inside line there that you can make it work anyway. Webber might well go around the outside. The curve on the outside doesn't really make you feel very good though, I'm afraid, and so he's not going to be able to get through there. Dobbins goes wide now though. Here comes Webber with a good exit out of the left-hander, and Dobbins is on the inside still, but he's clear now is Webber, and he's into the lead of this race. He defends. Dobbins goes firing down the inside, and Matt Webber just says, okay, you can go on, but you'll miss the corner, and he gets into the lead of this race. 5 laps to go. Matt Webber back at the front after a valiant but short defence from Oscar Dobbins.
Yeah, absolutely incredible stuff. We are going to watch a replay of this battle. I think it's one that is definitely worthy of it. He went for it there at the end, Dobbins. I'm not sure exactly what he was thinking. That could have been a race ender for both of them. Webber, the wily campaigner, though that's not the whole battle. There was more going on, but again, replays have thrown us under the bus. But Webber, phenomenal driving there. Dobbins tried his absolute hardest to defend there, even putting it on the curbs on the inside. There's going to be a lot less braking ability when you've got two wheels on the curb, and that is absolutely what caught him out. He ended up running massively deep in turn 1, and Matt Webber has sailed on by, and as predicted, lap 36, he is back in the lead once again. It's a 7/10 lead, but that is just going to keep increasing because of Dobbins' tyres. As we can see, he pitted on lap number 2, so it is costing him now with the tyres. We've still got Collins and Justice going for it. It's now down, Lewis Buhagiar, he's got 25 seconds to make up to Dobbins in the last 4 laps. That is a very, very, very big ask indeed, even if Dobbins is working some kind of absolute Harry Potter wizardry on his tyres and fuel at the moment. He pitted on lap 2. That's 35 laps that he's done so far, so I think he's maybe even gone full Fred Flintstone and is actually powering the car with his feet through the bottom. As we see, Justin's and Collins, they're still battling away, Ewan, and it is a battle that is going to go right down to the end of the race unless the walls get involved once again.
Yeah, looks like it. Justice holding on to a top 5 position. Both of these, by the way, advancing through the field nicely. Qualified outside the top 10 in both cases. And they're now 5th and 6th in the field. Justice having a little look at defence there. In towards the hairpin. Joe Collins not too far away. He's going to get a good exit here, perhaps, on the run over the start-finish straight. David Noden just in front of Bradley Austin, although that's changed rather quickly as well. That might have been into the final corner, actually. We've seen so many times the driver on the inside braking too late and going a bit wide at the hairpin, but and the original driver retaking the place. We'll see it here. Is it a dive down the inside that goes wrong? There we go. Noden goes down the inside. Amazing as well that we've seen it so many times, because it takes a lot of presence of mind from the driver on the outside there to let that happen and then just turn underneath there. I'm surprised more drivers don't see it coming and sort of just turn in there, really. But in any case, Webber has had an incident meantime, and he's under a lot of pressure from Dobbins. And there's trouble! Dobbins and Webber have made contact here, or was it contact with the lapped car of David Carney, who is they're damaged as well.
All kinds going on. Webber did have a crash. Let's get a replay of this. So he's hit that curve. Oh wow. My goodness.
that's a reactive defensive manoeuvre there from Matt Webber for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen one angle of it, to be fair, but that looks like a reactive defensive manoeuvre that in the end has caused Dobbins a lot of damage. He's already 6 seconds off. I think he's got severe steering and suspension damage at the moment. Never mind the front bumper, you can do without that, but the steering and suspension damage is what's going to do for him here. I think this is going to cost Dobbins multiple positions before the end of this race. There's still 2 laps to go. He can't turn right very well at a circuit that is clockwise.
Yeah, that is absolutely not the outcome that you are looking for, and that has massively compromised both of them. Oh, look how slow he's going. There goes a Lambo with a missing rear end. There's a Mercedes with a missing front end. They're winded
and he's coming in.
Yeah, he is coming out. No choice but to come in and put Lewis Biaggia up to second place. Sorry, I did miss what you said there when you giggled away, but there's a lot going on. And yeah, that's Webber out in the lead, and Dobbins has done himself dirty there. Oh, well, no, actually, yeah, no, I'm not going to say anything. We got one angle of that. Webber, it did look like he made a reactive move and put them both into the wall. We'll see what the stewards have got to say about that one. It's only just happened, so we'll give them time to process. But yeah, Webber in the lead, Biaggia up to second place, and Dobbins comes crawling out of the pits with Jeremy Newton absolutely piling past them, and that is off the podium as Jeremy Newton goes firing past, but he's now got a battle with Dobbins, who's just come out of the pits. He'll be keen to get this podium position back, you would think. He's already in the lead for the Silvers, but an overall podium would be good, and Drew Collins is looking for an overtake as well. Is he going to try and go round the outside? Justins and Collins, and they've been involved in some battles, and it looks like the Mercedes is going to keep pressing the buttons here and trying to get this moved on the penultimate lap.
Yeah, he's still pressing on and just attempting these moves, is Collins, but he's not able to make it happen. White flag for Matt Webber. He's got one more lap to go here from Adelaide tonight, as the third round of the Tasman Racing League Road Series gets underway. Just hearing from Matthew Searle that the incident between Dobbins and Webber is going to be reviewed post-race. So we'll not have word on that for you right now, but we'll bring it to you next week when we are live from Phillip Island for the next round of this championship. But besides that, it's been a decent drive from Matt Webber. He has had to make quite a few more overtakes than what he has had in previous rounds, and that's been impressive, the way he's been able to make his way through the field. Some will say too aggressively at times in this race, and you can certainly see why one might say that, but it's been still very, very strong pace. Pole position, and it looks like another race win on the road at least for Matt Webber, who would in any case have to get a very hefty penalty to lose it anyway. Out of the final turn, and Matt Webber wins this race here from Adelaide tonight by nearly half a minute in the end. He flashes his lights. He'll be very pleased with that one, that he's able to hang on and win this third race out of 3 at the start of this season. He's been by far and away the best driver in this field, and he's underscoring that once again tonight.
He is, yeah, an absolute masterclass from Webber. Lost a couple of positions in the opening lap, fought his way hard to bring them back and bring home the race when Lewis Biaggia, after a 2-stop strategy, does find himself back on the podium. He predicted it yesterday at the Ovals, and the prediction has come through. And Jeremy Newton received a gift from the sim racing gods, it is safe to say, after Dobbins and Webber came together. Newton rounds out the podium, but Dobbins still brings home the win in the Silvers, so it won't be too disappointed, I don't think, Ewan. A phenomenal race all round. Still got drivers coming across the line, but Webber, Biaggia and Newton all on the podium. And say Biaggia is going to be the most grateful for that P2 there after the early safety car pit stop and having to take a later pit. So yeah, a very happy driver, Lewis Biaggia, to get himself not only on the podium but up to second place. Not a bad finish.
Yeah, we'll chat to them, the podium drivers, in a second. Still the final drivers to come across the line here. Darrell O'Sullivan has finished, by the way, but has got no front end on that Mustang. So slow back drive back to pit lane. Lucas Blake throws it off into the gravel. One of the rare gravel traps through this venue, and there indeed the final drivers come over the line, and the race is complete. So let's have a look at the race results here from Adelaide here tonight in the third round of the Road Series. There's the qualifying results. Glad I didn't get caught out by it that time round. Matt Webber indeed though taking the race victory, 25.4 seconds the eventual gap over Lewis Bahagia, with Jeremy Newton in third place in the end. Oscar Dobbins with that late stop finishing in fourth. Darren Justice rounds out the top five. Drew Collins sixth with Bradley Austin, David Noden also within a minute of the win. Lucas Blake and Tim Pattinson round out the top 10, with Matthew Colwyn and Shannon Corbett rounding out those on the lead lap. One lap down for the likes of Martin Walker, Darren Sullivan, Stephen Scully, who were in the top 15. Ben Christian, Carl Douglas and Zach Vlutstra were as well. They were all one lap down. Dale Horn and Jordan Nelson rounded out the top 20. Manuel Jodderett was 21st, 3 laps down in the end. Craig Goodfellow 5 down. Fitzgerald and Carney both 8 down, though they did try and soldier on throughout their race. Many laps down though for the likes of Patrick Robinson, Joe De La Rosa, Trent Naylor, Anthony Cappen, Martin Hallinan and Nicholas Heath, most of whom retired before the end of that race. Well, the 3 podium drivers have now come to join us in the commentary box, and we can chat to them now, starting with Matt Webber. Matt, welcome in. Congratulations on a race victory, but late drama in this one, much more late drama than we have seen in previous rounds for yourself. Talk us through that race as a general feeling, first of all. Would you say it's been the most difficult challenge of the season for you so far?
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. I mean, your walls everywhere. You make an error, tag a wall, your race is either hurt or done. But look, I tried to get away. Like I tagged a wall on my second lap of my quali, so I thought, I might not get pole, but somehow that first lap stuck, so that was good. And then we had that safety car straight up, which I guess brought the field back, and then just sort of got away and got into a bit of rhythm, but then had to make up some places early, which I didn't expect to. I think David dived or turned me on the back straight, and I somehow didn't turn right around and got back into, I think, 4th or 5th, and just slowly made my way back through the field. And then Oscar must have pitted real early to get home on fuel, because I just thought, geez, big gap. And then I thought, hang on, he's still going. And then I just watched the clock. I was eating away at him, and then got right up close. We had a couple of good laps of fighting, and then he made that error on like the second or third last corner, and I got round. Then, man, that dive bomb, I don't know how he didn't kill me. I was like, holy hell. I thought he was going in the pits, but then he just shot past my nose. And then I thought, okay, well, I'm ahead now. And then late drama again through the chicane, because the slower car didn't know what to do, and I just sort of taken caution. And then David decided this might be opportunistic, didn't slow. I just went over to close off the inside, and he just absolutely ploughed me up the backside. So I don't know how he ended up, but I ended up with a lot of damage and limped home for the win.
Yeah, he had to go into pit lane as well from the end of that. Did it surprise you that those who pitted under the safety car that was out so early, they could make it to the end? Because we weren't particularly expecting it, to be honest. Were you aware of the scenario that it was a straight fight between the two of you?
Look, I did hear my pit guy said, look, if you pit now you can make it, but he's burnt me before, so I've just one couple peeled off. I thought, yeah, maybe, but yeah, it was going to always be very close. I don't know whether someone had the fuel save or what, but no, I was always just going until I was empty and filling up.
Well, congratulations on taking the race victory tonight from Adelaide, and thanks for chatting to us as well.
Thank you guys, cheers.
Thanks very much. Matt Webber, the winner tonight, in front of Lewis Bahagia, who joins us as well, 25 seconds back. Lewis, welcome in. In the end, second place finish, but you were running third for quite a lot of the second half of that race in any case. How was that race generally? You did end up pitting under that safety car, and indeed with about 12 laps to go as well. What was the reasoning for your strategy choices here tonight?
I knew that we could make it on fuel after that safety car, so I come in and pitted and took all my fuel that I needed for the race, and then I bobbered the tyre bundle at turn 1, and so buggered my steering and decided to stay out there for a couple more laps and make it hard for Matt and just try and give Oscar a bit more of a gap. And then, just come in, took a fast repair and come back out. Would have been good if I didn't get the damage. Would have loved to see where we ended up in the end.
Yeah, we were wondering why you'd lost so much speeds very suddenly, but that does explain a lot. How did this race go in terms of in relation to how you were expecting it to from Adelaide? It's the only street circuit of this season. It's a very unique street track on the iRacing platform, really. So was it better, worse than you were expecting in terms of multiple aspects? What was your sort of feeling as you were going through tonight?
I knew it was always going to be carnage. It's just standard when you race a street track, but yeah, what can you say? It's just a street track. Coming from the back after the safety car was interesting, and cars going everywhere. And I actually expected way more people to pit, but they didn't. So that kind of screwed me a little bit. But yeah, anywho, what do you do? It's just normal street track racing.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose it is. Congratulations on finishing in second, though, and thanks for chatting to us at the end as well.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks very much. Lewis Padgett finishes second, and also joining us, Jeremy Newton, who finishes in third place tonight from Adelaide as well. Jeremy, welcome in. Good to have you with us as well. Third place finish in the end, but obviously trials and tribulations throughout the day. Just how pleased are you to have ended up on the podium after everything that's gone on here tonight?
To be fair, I'm happy to end up on the podium. I had a stinker of a qualifying. I also did a mat and tagged the wall on the second lap, but also instead of tagging the wall, I hit a tyre bundle, so that was great for me. Anyway, it was what it was. I was really interested to see Oscar coming back out of the pits, and I just thought, I'm not going to let him realistically take it, so I just went around him. I wanted, I don't know, I like giving people space. I don't want to get in people's way, but yeah, nature of racing.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And as I mentioned, this is a very unique circuit that we're not going to see any more street circuits after this as well. Is that a relief to you, or are we quite looking forward to tonight and the unpredictability that might come from it?
No, not at all. I love Adelaide. I've been I did a little bit of practice here at the early in the week. Obviously, Matthew did as well because he picked the correct car. This car is easily capable of 17.2s around here on the right weather, and I have a Garage 61 to show for that. But obviously tonight, too hot. A bit harder, obviously, to control the rear tyre temps. And that's pretty much what it was. I obviously had a spin myself, and I nursed the car through wheel damage for the remainder of my stint after the first pit stop. So it was what it was. I was happy to just end there and not end up putting myself into another wall.
Well, congrats on ending up on the podium here tonight, albeit getting up onto that third place quite late on, and thanks for chatting to us at the end of the race as well.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks.
Thanks very much. Jeremy Newton in the third place here tonight. Well, that just about does it for us here tonight. John, I mean, it was everything you'd expect from Adelaide, I think. Tonight, I mean, there was carnage. There was a few crashes here or there, but there was a lot of good racing as well, which I think was very encouraging tonight. I was fearing a little bit it'd be very difficult to overtake, but that wasn't the case, and there was good racing up and down.
Indeed there was, yeah. We did think there was going to be a miserly amount of overtakes from the drivers and a lot of carnage. We got more overtakes than the carnage we got. The wall certainly saw their fair share of victims, but the overtakes were very nicely done. Some braver than others, some pulling off not quite as well, but certainly a lot of action over the 40 laps, and it certainly does bode well for next week. As you've mentioned, the street track, the only street circuit that we've got, and if anyone knows racing, street circuits, they're not the easiest. Monaco and certainly Adelaide right up there with it. So yeah, a phenomenal performance by all the drivers tonight, especially up on that podium, and another absolute spectacle from the Tasman Racing League Road Series.
Yeah, and Boone, just some final thoughts from you. How did you see tonight's race going? Tonight's only street track on this season's calendar.
Well, it's the only street track of the season, and it did not disappoint in what we usually expect from a street track, which is a lot of chaos, a lot of spins, at least one caution, cars hitting the wall everywhere. It was certainly, I think, the most interesting race of the season so far, just from a drama perspective, in that we didn't have Matt Webber running away at the front of the field,
and even, of course, some post-race drama with that incident between Webber and Dobbins ultimately going to be reviewed. But I enjoyed this race. I thought it was great. I thought it was the best race of the season so far, and I think Adelaide's definitely earned a place on the schedule going forward.
Yeah, agreed. I think it probably was the best race of the season so far after the previous ones at Daytona and Spa. But that's just about it from us here tonight in the Tasman Racing League Road Series here from Adelaide. Big thanks to everyone who's been tuned in tonight. I've been Ewan O'Leary alongside John Wright and Boone Blake in the commentary box. We'll be back next week from Phillip Island as the Australian doubleheader continues in the Road Series. Make sure you join us then. From all of us in the meantime, though, it's goodbye for now.